I don't know anything about how you got involved with this. So how did you get involved with this movie?
My dad was big into outdoor drama, and he used to do the Davy Crockett outdoor drama years ago, which I'm sure you've heard about.
Mm-hmm.
It was back before my time, before I was ever born. So Dad read it in the Kingsport paper back in 1982, 83.
Read that what they're.
They were having auditions.
Oh, okay. Did he audition?
No.
Oh, how come he didn't audition?
Well, they were looking for a child that resembled Sissy and Mel.
Oh, okay.
And about 12 years old. So,
Yeah.
So he saw it in the paper and he asked, if I would go audition. I told him I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And he got all mad because I didn't want people to think, you think you're good enough to be in a movie or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he said, I'll make a deal with you. I promise I won't tell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you just go audition, I won't say a word to anybody, but it'll just make me feel better.
Did he think you looked like Mel Gibson?
Well, I mean, he just read what they wrote in the paper, which
Yeah.
I don't think I've got the actual article in the paper,
Uh-huh.
but he was just into drama. Nobody really knew exactly what they were looking for. So there were kids from all over Northeast Tennessee that went and auditioned.
Was the kid that played your sister also being auditioned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was-
And they had gone nationwide. They had gone to New York, Los Angeles, all the major, I guess, business cities and things like that, looking for that person to play Sissy and Mel's sons, and they couldn't find anybody.
Uh-huh.
So they wanted somebody who resembled them, who was country, who understood country.
You didn't have to fake the accent.
I didn't have to. I just showed up.
Yeah. So tell me about the audition.
Well, there was a few thousand kids there.
Where was this
2,000
at?
at Ralston Robinson, Robinson Middle School now.
Yeah.
But there's a few thousand kids there. We got there about 7 o'clock in the morning. They gave you a number, and they told us, of course, I was 700, 800, something like that. They told us it'd be way late in the day before we got through. So we actually left and went to Fort Henry Mall, went to the arcade, and killed time. And there was
Yeah.
a group of us, I guess, from Hawkins County, Churchill area.
Did other people come to audition also?
Oh yeah.
Was there adult parts being auditioned too, or just
No,
those?
they were just primarily focused on the two kid
Oh,
parts.
okay.
But anyway, they took us in. Lynn Stallmaster, he done the casting for Superman and a lot of those action hero movies. But he brought 10 kids in at a time, and he would look at them and go all the way around, and he'd say no.
Yeah.
So they'd escort them out, bring in 10 more. And they
Okay.
just went by numbers, number 41 through 50, good, let's go. So I was in that one group of 10, and he.
Well, now, what time you got there at
I
7?
got there at 7. We left and lollygagged around, went to the arcade, and I think I was about 1 or 1:30
Okay.
that afternoon.
So you walk in there with 9 other kids.
Walk in there with other kids, and if he's sitting right here, I'm right here to his right,
Uh-huh.
about 3 kids from the end. And he starts over here, and he looks, and then he just stops and starts staring at me. And he keeps staring, and by this time I'm like, what, have I got something on my nose? And he just kind of jumps out of a trance, says, I'm sorry. He said, I'm staring at you because you look just like the one we need. And then I was like, oh, Lord. So they pulled me out, sent the other ones, and I guess they continued doing that the rest of the day. But then they took me to the backstage at Robinson where their stage is, their auditorium. And I met an actor named Barry Primus. He was in The River, played one of Joe Wade's, Scott Glenn's sidekicks in the movie. But anyway, we did a few scenes, or not a few scenes, but they just had a camera in there, and they wanted to see what I looked like on camera and do all that. And then they got my parents, or my dad, and said, well, we appreciate you coming. We'll let you know something in 2 weeks.
So did you read lines or just?
Read a few lines. They would tell me what was going on, and here's what we want you to say. And then they would just, it was really
So what
generic.
what was going on in your mind? Did you feel like you needed to
I
act?
really didn't know what was going on.
Did you just act natural, or did you try?
Yeah,
to act?
I mean, I just did what they told me to do, and
Yeah.
and you know, while you're sitting there, you just get nervous, and you know, you're the fear of the unknown. And I remember my nose started bleeding. I got
Oh,
a
no.
migraine headache.
Oh,
and I mean, it was just. You know,
Well, did were you trying to act or trying to be a character, or did you just act natural?
they just said, here's what the situation is. Here's what we want you to say. Let's just see how you look on camera, and you know,
Okay.
kind of go from there. And I did that for probably 30 minutes, and then they you know, talked to my dad and said, we'll let you know something in 2 weeks. So we went home and was like, not a word. Don't say anything to anybody.
Right.
And they called like on the 14th day,
This is 1982,
83.
83. So how old are you?
I was 12.
Oh,
So on the 14th day, they called and said,
exactly 2 weeks.
your son's one of the 3 finalists. And we're meeting, we'll be at the Ramada Inn. You remember, you know,
Yeah,
up there
at the
at
inn.
John B.
Yeah.
Right there, take the big round glass mirror buildings right in there. And showed up that morning. It was on a Saturday, and there were 3 girls who walked in for my sister's part, and I was the only boy. And so that's when we met Sissy and Mel, and my brother and sister, my mom. You know, we all went as a family. And they said one boy was driving in from Georgia and would be there later, and one was held up at the airport in St. Louis. So I said, okay. So anyway, we went through, we took family. I met Sissy and Mel at that time.
Well,
of course, I didn't realize who they really were or how big they were.
Well, Mel wasn't a huge star. He was
No.
the road warrior.
Yeah,
But
right after the Road Warrior.
now, before, did you, the other actors, the other males, did you know who they were? Did you hear their
No.
names, or have you ever heard of them
No,
since then?
you know, I knew of them. Dad told me about them, who all was in it, but I didn't know what they had done. You know,
Were they actors?
Scott Glenn was. You
I mean,
know,
the ones that the boys that were up against you, though. Have
no,
you-
I didn't know. I didn't
were
see
they
them.
unknown, or were they actors?
No, they were. I didn't know.
Okay.
They just told me that one's on his way and the
Yeah.
other one's held up at the airport.
Okay.
And but the 3 girls were there, so I met Sissy and Mel, and they brought us in. I met them, sit down with them. We took family photos to see what it looked like as a
Right.
family, and then they brought the girls in.
Right.
So they one at a time. You know, that was my sister for a second.
Right.
And you know, went through all that, read some lines, and just kind of ad-libbed and things like that. And a couple hours later, Mark Rydell sat down with the whole family and looked at my dad and said, we'd like to, on behalf of the River and Universal Studios, we'd like to offer your son the part of Louis Garvey in the major motion picture,
Wow.
The River. And
Were you in the room when that happened?
yeah.
What did you? What was
First
going
thing
on
I said was, that's not fair. I said, the other 2 has not even got here yet.
Yeah.
And Mark Rydell couldn't believe I said that.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to be kidding me.
You're not.
'Cause I
an
really
actor.
didn't
But
understand
you're not
the
an actor,
scope.
that's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't understand the scope of it.
Yeah.
And he said, let me tell you something. He said, there was no 3 kids. He said,
Yeah.
you had the part the day we saw you.
Oh wow.
So anyway, you know, that little pact I made with Dad not to tell anybody. As soon
blew
as
up.
I got home,
Yeah, it blew up.
all the
didn't it?
news stations were there,
Yeah.
and of course that's kind of when you got swept up off your feet, and,
Yeah.
and life changed for about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. Okay. So from the time you found out, what was the next steps? What happened after that?
Well, as soon as I found out, then it was about a week later, they got with us, and I guess Mom and Dad and them talked about the contract and this, that, and the other and all that. And they figured out where I was going to go to school, and they found a tutor, and they got all my schooling situated. And this was in July, I think, and we started in August. It was just about the same time school
So it was
started.
pretty quick then.
Yeah. I mean, once they started running, they ran.
Well, did you have to do like not audition? practice?
Yeah, we go in like before
Rehearsal.
before we started filming, we all went into this somewhere up at the Ramada. They had a conference room, and we all sit around the table and just kind of went. This was my script. They gave me that, and I filled it out. And that's the original script.
Wow.
And we just kind of flipped through the pages and
how many pages are you in on there?
My name's at the beginning of it and third when they roll the credits. So,
yeah.
I mean, it was a big part. I didn't have a whole lot of lines or a lot of talking, but I just had one-liners here and there.
Yeah, and you're always in the background there.
First one you see, the last one you see.
Yeah. Well, so was it like a table read? Everybody sat around a table?
Yeah, everybody just kind of sat around the table and read it, and they read it out loud, and they'd make adjustments if it didn't sound right.
You and Mel
Sissy,
Gibson?
Mel, just depending on what scene they were discussing that morning or what.
So by the time the cameras arrived, did you feel like you had it down pretty good?
No. But the very first scene we did film, I didn't know how they filmed the movie. Do they film it in order? Do they film it from start to finish? But the very first scene we filmed was the scene the first scene you see in the movie, where I'm there fishing on the river.
Right.
And in a creek. But after that, we might have filmed the last scene the next day, the middle of the scene the next day after that. So they just jumped around everywhere.
Right.
And then they put it all together.
Well, just what was going on in your mind as you were filming? I mean, did you just totally immerse yourself? Did Shane Bailey cease to exist and you became this character, or how did it go?
Pretty much. I mean, it's just so weird. It was surreal. It was you're kind of thrust into this imaginary world, and money's no object. Everybody's happy-go-lucky. It was wild.
How long did it take to shoot it?
We finished right after between November and Christmas holiday.
So it went from
after
August to
Thanksgiving,
November.
yeah.
And you're at the location was a farm, basically, right?
Yeah, up there at Laurel Run Park.
Yeah, it's the park now, but at the time it was a farm and a farmhouse.
And it wasn't a farmhouse; it was just a big farm. And the people, Patricia Ledford, who now lives in Upper East Tennessee, she was on the film commission, and she brought Universal here, and they found it, bought it, and then 6 weeks later, they cleared it off, built a corn crop, built a house, built the barn.
Oh, they built the house?
Built everything.
Oh, okay.
6 weeks. And made
Was it
look
just was it like a shell, or was it?
Yeah. I mean, they had some walls they could take out. There's no insulation or nothing like that. But
now, I'm curious. I'm sure you only shot like the exteriors there. Did you go to a studio later and film in a studio?
No, everything was shot
So
there. That was right before all this computer generated stuff happened. So every raindrop that fell, we got wet.
Wow. So where were your interior sets? Were they actually inside the house?
Yeah.
That they built?
Yeah, they'd be in the house. We went to Mark Rodell's house a couple of times and just dubbed over, like if the rain was too loud and somebody had a line and they didn't get it clear, then they would just kind of lip sync it to where you could hear it a lot better.
So this whole time, are you going home at night?
Going home at night, lived in Rogersville at the time.
Well, that was handy.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
But now, I mean, when I say you're just thrust into a different world, I mean, I had a driver that come to the house every morning, pick me up. Mel Gibson and I had the same makeup artist, same time makeup and wardrobe. And then we, I've got some memorabilia of what they're called, I think they're called dailies. But it would tell us what time to be there, what the schedule was, what we're filming.
So you sat beside Mel Gibson during makeup?
Oh, yeah.
Every morning?
Yeah, every morning.
What did you guys talk about?
Just everything. I mean, he was a character. He really was.
Had you seen Road Warrior at that point?
I did. once I found out who he was.
Yeah. Did you ask him about it?
Oh yeah, and he was talking about you remember the kid through the boomerang?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was talking about them filming that and how they done it.
Yeah.
Things like that. But he was real big into the Three Stooges.
Oh really?
Yeah, loved him.
Was he a prankster?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we filmed a scene where he comes home from the steel mill. And of course, while he's gone to the steel mill, we're taking care of the farm and all that. Well, he's supposed to drive in, and I see him coming, and I run out to him, and
That's where he has to go out to work to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when he comes home and sees the crop, and he says, "I'm proud of you, I love you," and all that. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember.
But we were in makeup one day, and Pete Altabella was the makeup artist. And Mel said, let's get Mark really good. So they put this big fake cut over my eye and had blood coming down it. And so when he pulled in, when they started filming, I just kind of stayed over there out of the way. And when he pulled in and I started running to him, I acted like I fell. And I got up, and then Mel made a big deal out of it. And said, "Oh my God, he's cut, he's bleeding." And everybody just ran, and then he just started laughing and started peeling it off my face.
Oh Lordy.
So, but yeah, it was everybody there. I mean, they had fun.
Well, you guys had a lot of scenes in the water.
Yeah.
How was that? What
It was
that like?
cold.
Cold? Because it was fall, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, we always had to put a wetsuit on and all that.
Underneath like your farming clothes?
Yeah.
Okay. Did it keep you warm?
No, not really. Not really. But, and they had me, they kind of wanted me to go to California. They had me listed as one of the next big child actors.
Really?
And I've actually got footage at home. 2020 came and done a big segment on me, and they had me out there, and I guess, I don't know if I call it the Brat Pack, if you remember those.
Yeah.
But that's about the same age I was.
Right.
With all them, but I don't know, something told me not to go, and I don't know why. To this day, I wake up every day wondering what if.
Well,
so these kids and my sons and everybody says I want to do this. I hope I say go do it.
Well, it would a lot of things would be different now for you if you had. I mean, you have a family and a career here.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if I'd have had that. I don't,
And you played college baseball.
Played college baseball at Coker University, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it'd been nice to know what would have happened. But and I don't know how much money. People always ask me, how much money did you get? I don't know. I was a kid. We just moved back from Florida. My dad worked nuclear outages, and he did the best he could to make ends meet. And it was really a gift from God that this happened, so it could give us some breathing room.
Right.
But I have no idea. But I do know that I made enough to where I didn't have to worry about anything during that time.
Right.
Universal Studios, the movie, they took care of every need I had. But being a child, you really gained a better understanding of how those guys got off the wrong path. The River Phoenix and and people like that. I mean, there's a lot of money involved in that, and they just made so much they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And I think they ended up killing themselves.
Pretty much.
I've got a son named River.
Oh, really?
Of course, people think it's because of River Phoenix, and, and of course it's an interesting story.
Well, you were in a movie called The River, so it could have something to do with that too.
And that's as my son's gotten older and he's had some few interviews and things like that, it's a good conversation.
Yes. Well, so when the movie wraps, I guess it takes like a year to edit, doesn't it?
Oh, it took almost over a year.
So you're back to your regular routine.
I'll tell you one story that people don't believe, but it's honest to God true story. We finished up. There's actually a couple of stories and all the ending of it. But we finished up, And they told me up there, Mark Rydell and the cast and all that, like, tell me something you want that we can get for you. You know, we love you, we're gonna miss you. What can we do for you? And 12-year-old dumb Shane said, I want a 10-speed bike. Now looking back, you know, I wished I'd have said, I want this farm.
Yeah.
You know, I want.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
But you know, that was the furthest thing from my mind.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, when I say it was a dream world, it really was. I mean, there was reality just wasn't in there. And Dad realized that. So we got home and you know, I love my dad. He's the greatest man I ever knew, but he took his belt off and wore me out and said, you're back on earth now.
Oh, no.
Because he realized, you know, they hired him as part of security up there. So he realized what kind of fantasy world this really was.
Yeah.
And how it could really ruin somebody.
Yeah. Well, you weren't, were you getting a little uppity, or was there a reason
No,
for
it
that?
was
Just the
you're
reality?
in it for 4 months, you start acting, you know, like
Okay.
I'm untouchable. The world's fantasy. It's you know,
kind of a reality
If I
check.
was in, you know, we had 3 hours a day of schooling, no homework, no test.
Yeah.
So I mean, how hard was that on a 12-year-old?
Yeah.
And if you said you wanted something, they'd get the radio and Shane needs this. Shane, I was like, what can I do?
Hot
here?
fudge sundae?
Yeah, I was like, I want a hamburger. Shane wants a hamburger.
Yeah.
Well, ask him what he wants on it. You know.
Wow.
I'm like, you know, it could really ruin somebody if they let it.
So during that year or so when it's being edited, did you kind of forget about it or get back to reality, or what was just back in a
It
routine?
was just a lot of parades, just a lot of media, just traveling around the East Tennessee, talking about it.
Right.
Doc McConnell was instrumental, and he was very involved in the river, and just a huge supporter. He got word that most of the movie had been edited and it was down in Atlanta, so he took me down there to see what the rough draft of it. I really never knew what the movie was really about until you see it, because you just film so much, you don't know how it all goes together.
You're not even in chronological
No,
sequence.
not even close.
So you're just kind of like doing spaces of time, basically. Well, was there a premiere?
There was a premiere in California. I didn't go to it.
Oh.
But there was a premiere at the Eastman.
Okay.
And
At the Employee Center?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a big theater.
Yeah. Me and Mom and Dad stood out there and
Was
by
there-
ourselves. And
Was there anybody else from the movie at
no, it was just me. They kind of had it for me and the little girl that was in it. She was from Jonesboro.
Oh, okay. What was her name?
And Becky Jo Lynch.
Okay. Did you ever see her again? Or hear
Yeah,
from her?
I saw her probably, it's been about 15, 20 years since I've seen her. She lives up in New York now.
Oh.
And, you know, I guess we kind of grew apart.
Yeah. Did she become an actress or do anything else after that?
I don't think she did.
Yeah.
When we met up, she was, you could tell she had had a rough time. And I guess she was hoping that I could say the same for myself, so somebody could understand where she's coming from. But you know, her parents got divorced. She was put into private schools. She had the mindset that she was a movie star, and she, you know, when it was all the dust settled, she was standing there alone and had no friends, you know, it's really sad.
Yeah.
I hated it for her.
Well,
But, you know, I kind of stopped that, picked up my ball glove and started playing baseball, and, you know, baseball and girls, that was.
So, did you go on any more auditions or have any more thoughts of?
Steven Spielberg contacted me. He was filming the movie The Explorers. And Joe McMakin worked at WKPT up there in Kingsport, and we did the rehearsal, or I did the audition with him, and then he sent the tapes to California, and I talked to country. So then I auditioned for Huckleberry Finn in Lexington, Kentucky, and I didn't talk country enough. So, you know, you just don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And I had an agent. I had a bigger agent when I was in the river. They flew out from California and signed me. Todd Bridges from Different Strokes. He and I had the same agent.
Oh, wow.
And, but I got one here locally, and I was in a movie in high school, just a small part called Chattahoochee. And it had Gary Oldman and Dennis Hopper and Ned Beatty. And I spent a week there filming.
Did you get to see any of them or hang out?
Oh,
with
yeah.
them?
Yeah, they were there. And, you know, coming from the river and what I'd done there, I was just a little kid trying to find my way. But when I got there and they found out, oh, you were in the river with Sissy Spacek, you know, then it was kind of,
you were more
kind
in?
of something, you know.
Yeah.
But that soon, you know, that was a week's long part for me, and did that, and I just went back to school and did a few commercials. But like I said, I didn't just pack up and go. But who knows what would have happened.
So if you had decided to go to California, was somebody going to put you up, or was the situation?
I don't know. They just. I know Scott Harris, that was my agent. You know, I guess he would have taken care of all that.
Yeah, you just would have been going on auditions.
All I think I had to do was say yes, I'm coming, and then we'd have found out.
Yeah. Well, why didn't you go to the Hollywood premiere with Mel Gibson?
I don't know.
Did they?
I don't know. I was so young. A lot of things happened in my life. I don't remember.
You weren't. Did you know it was happening? Or?
I didn't. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mom and Dad might have, or something like that. Or
they should have flew you out.
Or they just said, "Hold up, we're gonna have a."
Yeah.
You know.
You would think that the studio or the producers would have flown you out.
So I don't know.
Huh.
I'll tell you an interesting story though. When Sissy, Mel, Scott Glenn, and Mark Rydell, you know, they were the four main. When they came here, they needed a place to stay, you know, because they were going to be here for months. So they went over to Ridgefield. They got in a van. There was, I guess, a motor company in Kingsport that gave them vehicles and everything. But they took them around Ridgefields, and if they saw a house that they liked, they just walked up there and knocked on the door and said, "Here's X amount of dollars. If you'll get out and let these folks live here."
Did they do it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they'd been stupid not to.
Yeah.
Because money was no object.
I'd
So
have to have
it's
a pretty
no
good.
telling.
That X would have to be pretty big for me
Love
to
to meet somebody
move out of my house.
I'd love to meet somebody that happened to.
Yeah. Well, so now we're looking at it from 40 years. It's
40 years.
And this is the 40th anniversary because it's
40.
August.
Yeah.
You started filming in August of 1983.
1983.
And it was done in November of 1983. Wow.
Hard to
So
believe.
does it feel like 40 years?
No. And what's so weird and wild is I can remember it just about every day.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you what I did yesterday.
Did you ever hear from any of those?
I kept in touch with Sissy Spacek for quite a number of years. I've not talked to her in a few years. But,
Yeah.
you know, the last time I spoke with her, she answered the phone and I said, "Hey, Mom," and she knew exactly who I was.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Not Mel?
No, I haven't talked to Mel.
He stayed pretty busy, I guess.
Yeah. Of course, you know, he's been in and out of the news, so anytime he's in the news, then that kind of helps the river and royalties and
Oh, do you still get
things.
royalties?
Yeah, I still get royalties. But
Wow.
listen, as the years go, so does the
Well, just
amount.
out of curiosity, is it like an annual thing or a month?
No, you never know when they're coming.
Oh, it's just like if it gets sold.
They used to, years ago, there'd be a couple $100, maybe $1,500, $2,000, way back then. But now it's $10, $12. I mean, it's more something just to laugh at now.
Yeah.
But you know, that's 10 I wouldn't have got.
Yeah, why not? Well, show me some of the stuff you brought.
I got all kinds of stuff. If you want to flip through, see there's the.
Oh, wow. There's Shane Bailey, age 12. Huh. Local boy selected for the river.
And and that's, I still have that chair.
Oh, cool.
That's kind of them building the set there after they.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, this bunch here liked to party. They would shut down. What's those big time restaurants and bars in Kingsport at the time?
Oh, is this a table read right here? Or?
It's kind of them. Let's see. Now that was for the girls part. Let's see. That was in Gate City.
Yeah. Did you go to Gate City much?
Oh yeah. Yeah. See, they ran out the. I mean, that's all they did was party every Sunday.
Do you have Sunday off?
Yeah. Work 6 days a week, anywhere from 10 to 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
But that's when 2020 came.
That's neat. Is that Mel?
That's Mel.
Where's that at?
The filming of that actual scene was at McFeeder's Bend.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not sure where he is there. He'd never swung a bat before, so.
Oh, so they had to kind of.
Yeah. Now he won cinematography. He won an Academy Award for that in the river. Vilmos Zsigmond.
Is that Mel back there?
That's either Mel or his double. That's his double there, but this guy right here, his daughter's, that's Greenbush.
Billy Greenbush?
Billy Greenbush.
Yeah, his daughter was in
Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah. The twins.
Yep.
Yeah, I like him. He's been in a couple good movies. He was in 5 Easy Pieces.
Another party.
So you kept everything.
I tried to. Mom and Dad really. There's another party. And there's Scott Glenn's daughter's birthday party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. I worked at the Kenosha News, my first job, and way back when he was young, he worked at the Kenosha News. That's one thing we have in common.
Really?
6 degrees of separation.
There's the classroom.
Is that girl?
That's Kelly Toomey. She's still around here.
Or was she just like a?
Just a extra, like another farm family's kid, you know. Mark got me a speech coach and then had some tapes made and tried to help me with my accent and everything. There's Rob Wallace from 2020. My grandmother fixed Sunday dinner for them when they came. So I'm not sure what
Ethel
that's
Bass. Is that the two of you?
from. Yeah, I've got a ton of these pictures where there's.
And let's move this over here. I want to get.
I was told now, who knows whether or not that was true. But,
Well, that's kind of silly.
yeah, so I don't know how true that is, but. And there's a scene, this is the scene where Jessica, our cow, dies. And that cow's name was Jessica because Jessica Lange was supposed to play Sissy's part.
Oh.
And she backed out like just a few months before they started filming.
So they.
So it pissed them off and they named the cow Jessica. I see there's she played my sister. If you saw her today, you would not even think that she had even been in Tennessee before. And like scenes they film out in the water to the bank,
Mhm.
you know, they would walk out. They built that out there in the water.
These
That's where
family,
they dammed it up.
are these pictures that your family took?
Yeah. Sid Lawson, you know, dammed all that up.
Mm-hmm. You ever go out to Laurel Run Park these days? And
Yeah. It's kind of hard to remember exactly where everything was.
Mhm.
But that's all that. And then, you know, every movie's got their own movie jacket.
Oh, kind of hold it
course.
up for me. Get a picture of you holding it.
I can't even get my arm in it.
Look at me and smile.
But you remember those, what do they call it? Members only.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of a takeoff from it.
What does it say? Oh, that says the river.
Yeah.
That's cool. What are these right here?
Just other pictures. And I'm telling you, I've got, you name it, I've got it in here.
They made your sister look like a little boy. Oh, I remember that. My
Yeah.
aunt had that happened to my aunt.
Really?
She got her arm stuck in a tractor. That's probably the most famous picture right there. Isn't that on the box or on the poster?
Mm-hmm. That one was used too a lot. Me and my bow haircut. Now there's the line at Robinson.
Oh
And
wow!
that was us on I guess the day I found out. That's the day I got part in the movie.
Wow, August of '83. Yeah, I remember '83.
And a lot of these have been.
That was I graduated 8th grade. The only thing I cared about was baseball. I played baseball all the time. And the Chicago Cubs.
I see you never saw Mel without a cigarette and a Budweiser. I mean, we eat steak and shish kebab every day, and that was the costume designer. That was the property master, Bob Fasiglia. I used to call him Dad. He took me under his wing.
Scott Glenn.
And there's
Did he-
us in makeup.
Did Scott Glenn eat the worm?
Oh yeah.
Remember that from
Yeah.
Urban Cowboy?
My brother was in it. He was one of the bad guys
Oh, okay.
that we hired to tear down the levee.
Uh-huh.
There's Des Couch, Andy Stahl. He was in North and South.
Huh.
I'm not sure what else. And Ivan Green. I'm surprised I don't have a picture of him. He done a few movies back before he passed away. But those are just different people. That's my brother. And then, see that? There's my 10-speed bicycle.
Don't you wish you had a time machine? You could go back
Oh
and...
my Lord, do I? You know what that property would be worth right now? That's my mom and dad. That was the last scene of the movie. I don't know when we filmed that.
Did they have a rap party? Who's that guy?
That's Bob Fasiglia. That's the property master.
Okay.
That was in Sunset Boulevard.
Did they have a rap party?
Yeah. I don't think I was.
Probably for grown-ups.
But now they would, anytime we were gone, Bob would get drunk all the time. He kept thousands of dollars in his pocket. They'd say, go get his money. Because when he got drunk, he'd start giving it out.
Yeah.
And that's why I guess he started calling me son. Let's see, a lot of this stuff. Yeah, there's Jessica.
Poor Jessica.
Yeah.
Was it a real cow or was it a
Yeah.
fake cow?
Doc Slaughter went up there and knocked it out.
Doc Slaughter being the local veterinarian, still in action.
Yeah.
So he sedated the cow to make her look dead?
He gave it one of them big, it was a big old pig. Next thing you know, that's actually what I wore to the premiere. That sport coat.
Okay.
Here's what these. Let's see. See what time your hair and makeup.
Oh, that's your
be
schedule?
ready. Yeah, and who all was involved. And what scenes they were filming.
Mm-hmm.
And the set description. But that driver just say, I'll be here at 7 o'clock to pick you up.
Were you awake or did he ever have to
Oh,
drag you
yeah.
out of bed?
I was ready every time.
Did they try to corrupt your morals?
No, too bad. Yeah, there I am with that jacket on.
Oh, is that the premiere?
Premiere, yeah.
Were you and the girl that played your sister the only ones from the only actors from the film
Yeah.
that attended that?
Let's see.
Did they make you get up and ask to do a Q&A or anything like that?
No, now they did set a table up. That's what I was trying to find. This was at the courthouse. This was, I don't know who all's there. I know there's Doc Randall, but those are the steps of the courthouse.
Sure is.
And there's this. Did you see those big towers right there? That's how they sucked the water out and they controlled it, how big of raindrops they wanted. And they could, I guess, check the clouds out. But that's when 2020 came.
So you were interviewed by 2020?
Oh yeah, I thought it was like about the movie coming to Tennessee, but it was
I guess it was more interesting about...
more interesting about a kid getting a part like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
There you are.
There's my book of autographs.
Oh, wow.
Because there was Mel Gibson's address at the time.
Oh, Australia?
Yeah,
Who's John Schuler?
John Scott, that was the sound guy.
Okay.
I can't remember what he was. All these are just
Crew
different,
people?
yeah, just crew people.
No Sissy Spacek?
Yeah, she's in here somewhere. I haven't looked at this in years. There's
Is that Scott
Scott's.
Glenn?
Ketchum, Idaho.
wonder if that address is still good.
I just wonder how many's passed away since then.
40 years is a long time.
Lindell Kell, she was a hair person. That's
Shane,
what-
honey.
Yeah. Keep your eyes open and look up. That's when he's trying to put makeup on.
Oh.
That was the first assistant director. Sorry I had to pester you all the time about going to school.
You had to get your 3 hours in.
Yeah.
didn't you?
I thought she was in here somewhere. Now, a lot of these crew right here, I mean, if you look these names up,
Yeah.
they all did start Scarface. First Sissy and Jax. I don't know if that number, that may be the number I called. But that's the sport coat that premiered.
January 3rd, 1985.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're sitting at that table signing all
Yeah.
this? Is that your brother?
That's my brother. I even wrote a book about it.
Was the book first, or was the
I
book?
haven't even read it.
You didn't make the cover of the book.
No, I ain't make cover of the video, but I'm on the back of it. I think.
There you are.
Yeah. I made the back. But if they'd have shown everything that we filmed, it would have been over 4 hours long. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a whole complete hunting scene.
Yeah. They probably could have made a movie out of whatever what got cut.
Yeah. Everybody's, your biggest supporters and those involved have all passed on.
Do you will you be flipping around on the TV sometimes and come across it? Does that ever happen?
It has happened, but it hasn't happened recently.
So what do you think whenever you're flipping
I
and
just, I tried to explain to my kids how River got his name, and and it told me that it's passed us by when River says, thanks, Dad, and I turn it back to Cartoon Network. When he was
Yeah.
6 years old, I was
Yeah.
like, hey, yeah, you got your name. So that just told me he really didn't care.
how old are your kids now?
River's 24,
Uh-huh.
and Parker's gonna be 20.
Wow. So now is it a little bit more of a big deal to them once they get a little older? And
No,
realize-
it's actually less of one.
Really?
I think River's appreciating it, and it's just like the River was. I never talked about it, never told anybody I was in it, never mentioned it. And the older you get, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, I agree.
Something just fell in my lap, and I embraced it the best I could, and I hope I took a lot of people along with me on the journey.
So is it all positive memories? All
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't tell you one negative thing.
Let me start shaking my head now.
And I guess that's my closing statement is to don't ever wish you'd done something. Do it.
Don't be regret. Don't have regrets.
Don't have regrets.
Right. Right. So do you have regrets?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Every morning.
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
What if?
Well, let's talk about, for those who don't know, somebody might see this video who's not from around here that's familiar with the movie. What became of Shane Bailey after this? I mean, you went to college, you played college baseball.
Ended up moving to South Carolina. My dad, after the movie, he found instead of doing nuclear outages, which were 6 months here, 18 months there, he wanted me to go to one school. So he found a permanent job in Greenville, South Carolina, and I moved there and went to Eastside High School, and graduated from there and went to college. Went to Walter State, played 2 years of baseball there, and then
So you came back here after?
came back here after I graduated high
Did
school.
you have family here? Is this
Yes,
where your roots
this
are?
is where I'm born and raised. So, but after I came back to Walter State, I got recruited to play at Coker. I went over there and finished.
Where's that at?
It's in Hartsville, South Carolina.
Coker?
Coker College.
Okay.
Well, it's Coker University now.
Yeah.
8 miles from the Darlington racetrack.
Oh, wow.
Loved it,
I bet it's hot down there in the
yeah,
summertime.
yeah. But I came back came back to East Tennessee after I graduated, and
Now, what did you study?
physical fitness programming.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a job at the glass plant as a supervisor coming out of college, and got involved with the youth here in Hawkins County, and decided to go back and get my teaching certification and administration, and got involved. Started out with Hawkins County schools as a teacher, and became an administrator at Rogersville Middle.
Yep, that's about the time I came around. Was you were
Yeah, that's where
assistant principal?
Yeah, and that's where, in 1983 when we finished filming, that's where I went to school, and that's where I met my wife.
Wow.
They told me some girl in 6th grade likes you. She just likes me because of that movie. She said, "What movie?" And I said,
That was
her then.
pretty smart on her part then.
Yeah.
So you left the county school system and went to
Rogersville City School, and actually went to school there K through 5, and then left in 5th grade to go to Florida with Dad for a nuclear outage, but I came back to Rogersville for my 8th grade school year.
Okay. And what did you do at Rogersville City School?
Rogersville City School, I was assistant principal, and for about the last 5-6 years, I've been attendance, data, and testing director.
Okay.
And I want to. There's so much stress now in education. I want to do everything I can to take the stress off of teachers and let them teach and love kids. That's however I can help them.
So you must be closing in on 30 years in education then.
I am. I've got a few years left, but I don't. What will I do if I retire? So,
Go to Hollywood.
I don't think I could handle it out there now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you talking to me about this. Is there any last thoughts or anecdotes or anything that you want to share?
I hope I'm around for the 50th.
Yeah. 40 years.
Yeah.
Is there any? Do you think there'll be any kind of recognition or anything?
I don't know. I haven't
Film
heard of any.
Film festival. Are you gonna go out there and reminisce any or anything?
No, I mean I still go to the park probably once a year.
Yeah.
Just go out there.
Did you go out and play in that creek and hike up in them woods when you were filming?
Actually, the very first scene was up on top of that.
At the waterfall area?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to hike up to the waterfall?
Scared to death. I remember that like it was yesterday. Of course, TWRA pulled up and said, "How many fish do you want?"
Oh, wow.
They just, everything was rigged. It was real, but it was rigged.
Yeah. The outcome was already determined. I
Yeah.
guess.
The raindrops were real, but they controlled how big they were.
Yeah. And now what? About your wardrobe?
The costume designer, they travel too. They do different movies. Most of the crew from the river was from Scarface, but the costume people also did E.T. So Henry Thomas and I wore the same clothes. And,
Really?
And if they, if they needed something that wasn't in that wardrobe trailer, then we went to the World of Clothing in Kingsport and they bought it. Like we bought brand new boots and tied them to the bumper and drug them all the way home. They wanted it to look old.
Right. But you wore the exact same clothes that Henry Thomas wore?
Yeah, there's a couple shirts I wore that he had.
Wow.
In E.T. Annie, the movie Annie. I remember wearing that wig around.
Oh, because it was there.
Yeah, Annie. Yeah. They did Annie as well.
It was in the collection.
But you can trace people back if somebody took time and looked at the credits and then, saw what other movies they did. I mean, you can Titanic, Forrest Gump. I mean, it's just incredible everything how it's all connected.
All right. Well.